Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining us for the session. So yeah, we'll start with a brief introduction. Siju, maybe you can start.
Sure. Siju Daniel, Chief Commercial Officer for ATFX. Primarily, I look after our global retail business, which spans across 23 different offices. I also do work quite closely with our prop trading division, which is AT Funded. So excited to be on the panel and talk more.
I'm Nathan, the CEO of WeFunded, and we are a prop firm and also soon to be a new brokerage in the industry as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Antreas, and I'm leading operations for FunderPro. FunderPro is a B2B technology provider for prop firms, and also we have our own B2C retail arm for CFDs and futures.
Okay, fantastic. So today we'll be speaking about prop firms, and our speakers are going to be sharing insightful information about how they work, where they see the market going, and the different trends. So to start us off, the first question would be, let's start with the basics. So we have both investors and participants here. So perhaps you can share your view and the value propositions for funded accounts and funded trading, and what sort of traders does it appeal to? Yes, Siju, maybe you can start.
Certainly. I think it provides a fantastic value proposition for someone who's looking to get started, right? So I think I remember we talked about whether the size of the total market, and I think the size of the total market for prop is actually significantly bigger than, let's say, for a CFD or FX broker, because the type of person that's coming in to buy a challenge isn't necessarily someone who, you would intentionally or unintentionally capture on the CFD side of the market. So I think it's a great value proposition where you can come in, you can test your skills out, you can learn a little bit, and then from there, you can go on and decide whether you want to trade live or not. And what we do specifically on the AT funded side is we want to use that as an on-ramp to find talented traders. And so we have, as part of our program, AT Funded Plus, wherein if you can pass our challenges successfully, you get to the funded stage successfully, then you actually have an on-ramp onto becoming a trader and a signal provider for us. So we use it as a larger tool to basically continue to expand our ecosystem.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Nathan, could you share what type of traders appeal to the funded accounts?
Look, I would say that, in my opinion, it would be any trader, whether you're a starter, intermediate, expert level trader, because the value proposition is that you provide, or you actually get access to a large amount of capital, which we all know more money makes more money. But most importantly is also the framework that prop trading provides as well. And it's the framework of discipline. So I think those are the two key factors when it comes to the value that it provides, and also the type of traders that it attracts, and the type of traders that can trade with prop firms. So it's for anyone, just as WeFunded is exactly for anyone as well. And just like Siju said, they've got AT Plus as well, AT Funded Plus. We've got something similar going as well, where a trader can actually graduate to becoming a full-time trader for WeFunded as well. So the value proposition is astronomical when it comes to actual prop firm trading.
Okay. Yeah, and Andres?
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the common things that we all mentioned was the big problem of undercapitalization. So we all know that in trading, if you have more capital, obviously you don't have to risk as much to make more money. So the problem that prop trading comes to solve, I think, is traders that don't have capital of their own, but they do have, let's say, the correct risk management, the correct emotional strength to be able to trade profitably.
Yes.
So when you do come into prop trading with a lower ticket of like $50 to $100 of the minimum, and you get to manage a $10,000 account, as soon as you do prove you can make that first 10%, then I guess like the value talks for itself, right?
Okay. And as prop trading is growing over the past few years, what's the biggest misconception you'd want to debunk about prop trading?
I would say on the broker or the provider side,
Yeah.
I think the biggest misconception is that it's easy to run.
Yeah.
Right. And what I mean by that is, I've been involved in the prop space for a little over a year now. Right. And being on the outside looking in, just based on the pure number of launches on the prop side and the pure number of providers who would come out and say, oh, you can launch a prop firm for, I don't know, $100. It's not that easy.
Okay.
It is as challenging, if not more challenging, than operating broker. And
Okay.
so I think understanding what goes on behind the scenes from the technology side to the risk management side to the marketing side, it is a very sophisticated business. And I think a lot of the players that are in the space, the players that have survived, the players that have grown, my hat's off to them. It is a challenging industry.
Okay, okay, fantastic. And Nathan, maybe if you can share from the perspective of maybe your traders, what is a misconception or run to debunk for them?
Yeah, from someone like myself that has a background of actually being a full-time trader for a long amount of time as well, I would say that the biggest misconception when you switch over to prop firm trading is that, and this was actually driven by a lot of bad actors in the industry as well, where prop firms are just there to actually suck on the revenue of challenge fees. So I think that's a big misconception because there are the good actors in the industry, like we've got AT-funded program, we've got FunderPro, and we've got WeFunded as well, which actually creates that support system for traders. So I think that's a misconception that actually needs to be changed and a narrative that actually needs to change within the industry as well.
Wow, fantastic. And Andreas, from operations standpoint, what's the biggest challenge in managing funded accounts and ensuring a smooth experience for the traders?
You mean from a business standpoint?
Yes.
I think something that's showed over the past couple of years is risk management is the starting point and the end point of how you run a prop firm, right? Also from the B2B side, we've seen many people come through, they had like 100 grand, they want to start a business and they said, oh, I'll go do a prop firm because they thought it was easy. And that didn't go so well because obviously if you don't have people that understand risk, that understand trading, to be able to adjust all these rules that we see, prop firms don't put rules there because they want to be against the trader. They put them there because they have to protect their own capital. And just walking around the floor today, I met a couple of traders that when talking about prop firms, they were like, yeah, I heard about prop firms, but I'm not into it. And I asked, may I ask why? And they said, I like to use full margin on my account. So I want to put $100 in and I want to take it long just before the news. And if it shoots, it shoots. And that's the type of trader that we don't want in a prop firm, obviously.
Okay, okay. And Siju, you mentioned that within ATFX, since you have the CFD and the prop arm of the business, that you transition basically the traders from the prop. Once they become funded, you can also transition them to the social trading. So how's that been working? And what would you say is the success rate of this traders transitioning to funded and eventually to the social trading?
Sure. So obviously it's the vast minority,
Yes.
right? And so it solves two problems for us. One, on the funded side, it gives our successful traders a platform, right? Where if they are successful, we can put them in front of our ecosystem, which exposes them to hundreds of thousands of traders, right? So the success rate is going to be single digits, right?
Yes.
I think historical success rates for challenges apply, historical success rates for funded apply, right? And even within funded, you have to pass a certain number of times before you can get onto the Funded Plus program.
Yes.
I believe currently we have 3, right? So we've been operating for more or less 6 months now, and so we've got 3, right?
Okay.
Now the great thing about that is those 3 are verified. They've traded under very difficult market conditions with rails and requirements that are very strict, right? So on their end, the fact that they've made it is fantastic. We've got 3 of them live. It also solves another problem for us, which is on the social trading side. Our clients want, traders and signal providers that are sound.
Yes.
Right?
Tried and tested.
Tried and tested. So what better than to say, hey, they've been through this rigorous process. And so for us, it's a win-win. So on one side, it gives our funded traders an opportunity, and it also solves this problem for us on the brokerage side.
Okay, fantastic. And Nathan, as a CEO of WeFunded, what specific innovations has your company introduced to improve the success rates of traders attempting the challenges?
Well, I would think that some innovations to help the success rates of traders would be introducing more risk tools. So we know that our system that we use, our platform that we use is Trade Locker, which is actually provided through their team as well as a brilliant risk tool in that. So those are things that actually help with creating successful traders. Another thing would be the conditions of your trading challenges that you have as well. Right? So that's a very important thing. The conditions can either make or break a trader, and the conditions can also make or break the firm as well. Right? And that all ties into the risk management side of things. So I think risk on both sides is very important.
Yeah.
One on the challenge framework, and then one on how the firm itself is then managing its risk or the risk partners that they've got for that. As
Okay.
well.
Okay.
I would like to add on that, by the way, because
Yes.
when you ask about innovation, I think it's very important that firms don't try to innovate too much in terms of how they go about with the rules, because like I said before, many people come through and they want to offer this killer product that's going to take over all the market share, and they don't know that as soon as they try to do that, they're going to get people passing the challenge that don't know what they're doing, and then they're actually going to burn through your capital very fast. So innovation is good and it should happen, but there's a reason why the top 10 firms in the space have certain rules in place.
Okay, that's fantastic. So this leads up to a topic that most prop funds would are not always happy to discuss, but perhaps you can inform the audience. Many point to the fact that prop firms make money out of the challenges that the traders actually purchase, not actually the shares in the trades that they place. So my question is this what you're seeing as well with your experience within the space? And if so, is it more on the model itself that has a flaw, or is it just traders, a vast majority of the traders are not skilled enough to bring in profits?
So I think your question was a bit on the conflict side, I think.
Yes.
Right?
Uh-huh.
I don't think it matters in the sense that, and I think the question also relates to the broker side of the business, right?
Okay.
Are you an A book broker? Are you a B book broker? Are you a C book broker? Well, does it matter? In the sense that, yes, of course, you could say there is a conflict, but I think at the end of the day, what's most important is your execution, right? So
Yes.
if you're an A book, you can say, I have no conflict, but what if you send the trade into the market and your customers are getting slipped and they're not getting the right execution that they need,
Yes.
especially in turbulent market conditions, right? So you could say, actually, in that particular scenario, it's better for me to be a hybrid or B book broker so I can get you better execution, right? So similarly on the prop side, right? If you were to say at the end of the day, as my panelist said, provide proper rules
Yes.
and stick to them. So ensure that you don't change in the middle of the challenge. All of a sudden you change the rules because you don't like the profitability ratio,
Yes.
right? And another simple thing is, if they pass and they win, pay them, right? So I think if you provide the proper rules and conditions, you stick to those rules and conditions, and they know they're going to get an honest payout at the end, how you operate the model doesn't matter as much. Now,
Okay.
it's a further question on how you operate the model, but I'm just saying from a user perspective, because we tap into the community, Discord communities in prop are very active.
Yeah.
The minute someone changes, the minute someone doesn't pay out, it spreads like wildfire. So even us, we have a situation where we say, okay, you're not going to like all of the types of traders that come through, right? And sometimes you can't figure out exactly what's happening.
Yeah,
Right?
true.
And you say, you know what, fair enough, we may not like this, but
Yes.
make sure you get paid out. And that's a cardinal rule that we follow.
Okay.
And we want to make sure that's important. And I think that's how you make sure the reputation and the trust and the integrity of the industry continue.
Okay, that's fantastic. Anybody else want to add something?
Yeah, tricky questions. I'm all for it. So yeah, like Siju said, I think A book or B book, at the end of the day, the trader just wants to get paid, right? He doesn't care how you manage your risk. Now, if we're going to talk about the business itself, I've been of both sides, seeing like full A book operating full B book, and I can say that if you fully B book your clients, so you internalize the whole book, at some point, if you find someone who's too successful, you're gonna not be too happy about it, right? And that's not something that you want. Same on the other side, if you're fully A-booking, sending everything to the market, it's so disproportionate how much the clients are paying for a challenge vs how much you're actually putting up for them. For example, we have like $1,000 for a $200,000 account, which with a 10% drawdown means $20,000 worth of risk.
Yes.
So if you're sending all of that to the market, at some point, it's gonna take you out, right? So I think a hybrid approach and being able to identify which traders and what strategies are actually working to be able to send those to the market and then internalize the rest is pretty much the best approach.
Okay, that's fantastic. Nathan?
Yeah, I think the hybrid approach is probably the best approach to go about it. On the B-booking side as well, what we need to consider is when firms are B-booking or you are working with a firm that's B-booking, you need to be sure that the firm is also capitalized the correct way as well. And I think the most important thing when it comes to that for a firm to operate successfully and to provide the service to the traders as well is to manage the payouts. I think the biggest risk is on the payout management side of that. And once you can form a model, it doesn't matter what model it is, if there's a model that's sustainable that can keep the doors of that prop firm open for as long as possible, along with creating growth as well, then that's something that needs to be put in place, and that also needs to be adopted amongst prop firms as well. So that's something very important that needs to be looked at. The capitalization on the booking side, and then also the payout management, which is very, very important.
Okay, okay. So with regards to the payouts and funding, right, Nathan? So with instant funding trend gaining a lot of momentum in the past year, how has this affected the traditional challenge fee revenue model that firms like yours would use?
Oh, it's I think not just firms like like WeFunded as well.
Yes.
Firms across the board. It's starting to become where firms are actually racing to the bottom.
Yeah.
Because now it becomes a pricing issue, right? So you've got an instant challenge, which first it's marketed as instant, right? Which in most cases with some firms is misleading marketing as well, but that's a whole other topic to get into. But the pricing aspect, the instant funding accounts are much cheaper in most cases than your single phase and then your two-step challenges as well. So then you'll get a firm that only offers a single phase and a two-phase as well, that has to actually match that pricing of those firms that are offering the cheaper instant funding. So then you have cash flow issues, which then leads to the risk management issues, which leads to the payout management issues as well.
Yeah.
And then that just creates this whole little pyramid of firms that are racing to the bottom and closing doors. So I think the instant funding model is something that has to be very carefully looked at.
Yeah.
And I think that it is also drawing eyes from a regulatory side of things as well, which is also a whole different discussion as well. But those are things that needs to be considered.
Okay. Does anybody have anything to add with regards to instant funding?
I would echo the same exact thought.
Yes.
I mean, we've opted not to do it
Yeah.
for that reason, but as Nathan said, it's a managing basically your money in versus money out.
Yes.
And we chose not to go down the race to the bottom.
Okay, fantastic. So from someone representing both a brokerage and the commercial side of the business, what transparency measures do you think the industry needs to implement and build greater trust within the traders?
Sure, like I said, I think it's longevity in the business.
Yes.
It's staying fair and transparent with your rules and ensuring timely payouts.
Yes.
And one of the things that we have a team that runs our prop business, and they have a lot of experience in prop. And before we launched the product, they walked us through this aspect of it, right?
Yes.
The reason we decided to get into the business, particularly last year into 2024, for every 2 or 3 props that were opening, 1 or 2 were shutting down.
Yes.
And we had a lot shut down last year, right? And we thought that there was a gap in the market to fill the trust void, right? And because managing risk, managing operations, having a balance sheet, these all seem like things that would be critical in operating in this business. We figured, okay, our background in brokerage would help us. So I think, again, continue with the development of the industry. Again, fair, transparent practices, honoring payouts. This is what in the long term continues to build trust in the industry.
Okay. And in line with the topic that prop is here to eat your lunch, do you guys actually see that there is a trend towards most businesses are going towards the prop, or do you see this thing like it's going to be a symbiotic relationship down the line where props are going to start their own brokerages and brokerages are going to start their own prop firms so that they can be a symbiotic relationship?
I mean, I think it's already happened, right?
Yes.
So obviously, you have firms like us who have launched prop.
Yes.
You have firms like FTMO who have now swapped up brokers.
Yeah.
So I think it's a natural progression. I think the two can coexist, right? And one of the reasons, if you take everything aside and you look purely from a marketing perspective, go and look at any of the popular YouTube channels for anyone in the prop space. They're actually significantly larger
Yes.
than the broker space. So I think they can coexist. But I think one is on a larger trajectory, particularly because of the regulatory side of things.
Yes. So mentioning about regulatory objectives, right? How are you guys seeing the regulatory landscape within prop trading? And should there be any regulation within prop trading? What are your thoughts?
Look, I'm going into my 4th year of this roller coaster of the prop trading right now.
Yes.
And we've been talking about regulation for 4 years straight. And the truth is, nobody knows how to regulate the space because we're not actually holding clients' funds, right?
Yes.
You're buying, it's like e-commerce. You're buying your challenge, you're taking some test, and if you pass, you sign an agreement with the firm, and you're the provider for the firm, and you get paid out for it. So it's really hard to regulate, and I'm actually concerned that if whoever wants to regulate the space doesn't actually understand the model and targets specific areas of it, that they might actually stifle the innovation that's coming through this.
Okay. Nathan, maybe.
Yeah, I agree with what Antreas is saying as well. You know, one of the main things actually is the marketing side of things. So there's a lot of misleading marketing that's actually happening in the industry, and I mentioned earlier with the instant funding side of things as well. So I think that's one thing that they're going to start looking at as well. Look, the eyes are already on us. Like you said as well, we don't know when it's going to happen, what is exactly going to happen. It's extremely difficult to regulate because on the one side, props on the front end operate with simulated accounts, right? So it's hard to understand what that actually means and the operational side of it and how that actually delivers the service to the trader and what the trader is actually buying into. So there's all of those different nuances and things that are happening. That's actually very difficult to put into a framework for regulation as well. And then I think the other important thing is probably just protecting the trader or the customer. So that's maybe one thing, right? So protecting the consumer on that side so that they're actually getting what they're paying for when it comes to purchasing a challenge or buying into prop firms as well. So those are the two main things I would say that's something that's being looked at on a regulatory side.
Okay, fantastic.
Or that would possibly be looked at on a regulatory side.
Okay. Siju, do you have anything to add on regulation?
Yeah, I think I was on a panel 6 months ago.
Yes.
This question often gets asked, and I thought 6 months ago.
Every panel.
That was the end of it.
So 6 months ago, I was convinced it was going to happen. Now, he's been in the space longer, right? 4 years. But then more recently, we've seen some decisions come out of the United States.
Yeah.
And the U.S. is a good bellwether. And of all the regulators, I thought they would be the ones that want to. And they kind of wash their hands as well to a certain extent. And so now I'm very much with Andreas in that I don't see anything happening anytime quick, because 6 months ago when I was on a panel,
Yes.
I said my concern is that it gets, for the exact reason that Andreas said, that it gets regulated by someone who doesn't understand it. And then you run the risk that it gets over-regulated. And so I was convinced that it was going to happen. And now my position has changed just because what I'm seeing from regulators across the world, because at the end of the day, it's not client money. It's not client money at risk. So I think it's going to take some more time. They've tried, they've looked at it, they've tried to dissect. And I can say for us, before we launch anything at ATFX, right, we hold 8, soon to be actually 9 regulatory licenses today, right?
Okay.
From the FCA to the FSCA. We have an ODP license here in South Africa, ASIC, so on and so forth. So even our prop business, AT-funded, before I can launch it into any market, my compliance team has to check into it and whether we can do it, because at the end of the day, at the group level, it's still part of the same company. So we've gotten legal opinions from 8 or 9 different jurisdictions from top tier white shoe law firms, and at the end of the day, it comes back to that, which is they still don't know how to regulate it. They don't know what it is, because at the end of the day, it's not client money at risk.
Yes.
And so I think now I'm of the opinion that they will continue to study it, they will continue to observe it, but I don't see anything happening anytime quick. Now, my caution to the prop industry is don't let that be a reason to go crazy, right? Because see, the thing is, when overregulation happens, and we've seen this in, for example, in the UK or in EU, there's always a broker that's sitting in some island country that's willing to take that business, right? And so I was hoping that if there was regulation, it wouldn't be too strenuous, that all of a sudden there would be brokers operating outside of jurisdictions to capture that business. So I think now that we're in a good place, the market is certainly challenging. I think, again, the players that have been here for a long time that are in the top 10, they look at this as a long-term business model, ensuring fair practices. Even within regulation, what is this? There's a TCF, treating customers fairly component, right? And I think whatever you have, if you run a regulated broker, whatever principles that you would apply on the brokerage, just apply the same on the brokerage side. Because at some day, it may come.
Yes.
So just get ahead of it.
Fantastic.
You mentioned Discord before, and it's pretty funny how actually this space is kind of self-regulating itself with the clients, because the clients are so loud between themselves in the community.
Yes.
So if one firm tries to mess up and do something that they shouldn't, it's going to be found out very fast, and that company is going to fall very fast.
Yeah, actually, that was bringing me to another question. With the space being more of a community-driven support system, right? And becoming increasingly important to have that particular support system. How are your firms embracing this trend to support trader success?
So we have a full-time team within our prop team that looks out for that.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously, for example, on the broker side, you have your standard socials, your Facebook, your Instagram, etc. But particularly on prop, I know our Discord channel is very, very important, right? And responding to them, even if it's something bad. And I think that, like you said, it's very community-driven. So if someone comes out and makes an accusation, what my team has told me is it's very, very important to acknowledge it and then clarify, why that is not the case. So they showed me an example of, not with us, but with another competitor, where an accusation was charged against a prop firm. And then that prop firm handled it very well and basically said, no, this is why that's not the case. Yeah. And it was very interesting because the community then turned on that person.
Yeah.
Right? Which I have not seen in other words. So it's a very interesting dynamic, right? And I remember we do obviously talk to some of our peers in the prop space. There was this group that was trying to take the prop hostage, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that happens, right? And I've seen a couple articles about where you'll get a group of traders who have abusive practices. And if they don't get paid out, they'll say, hey, we're going to go and start just blasting you. And, that particular firm reached out to us and said, hey, guys, this is what we're seeing. This is how we're responding to it. These guys may make their way to you as well. So I actually love that aspect of it. I feel like it took a lot longer for us to cooperate on the broker side. But on the prop side, I'm seeing a lot more coordination also across props for situations like this.
Yeah.
That's why I think transparency is the most important thing on props, especially with all these rules going around. Even though the traders have become a lot more clever over the past 2-3 years, looking for the rules and looking for what a firm might have in place to, let's say, not allow them to gamble their way to profit. But having, I think, a separate page for your trading rules on the website, something like that could really help. Because then, like you said, if you have one person that's coming across and trying to blackmail you, if you can have proof that, hey, this is where it's clearly written, it wasn't hidden anywhere, then the community will turn on him and they will support the firm.
Okay.
I think also on our side with WeFunded, so we've got a full-time community management side as well. We're managing our social media, our Discord, all of that type of things. On the other support side, we've actually got it outsourced to FunderPro, which offers the 24/7 support on that side as well. But I think the main thing is actually controlling the narrative. So having the correct moderators within those Discords that can control the narrative of the firm as well. Right, with, like Siju said, responding immediately, actually assessing what the problem is, seeing where we can sort out what is actually going on, and then fixing it in a quick enough period as well. But I think the main thing would be then just to control the narrative as much as possible to protect the firm, right, firstly. And then also I think that support goes beyond just those type of things as well. I think support goes much broader and can actually be extrapolated into the entire framework of the challenges as well that exist, and having the conditions to be as transparent as possible, not having it hidden in pages far away between the T's and C's and all those type of things. So if we can bring back that more to the forefront, where traders can actually see what is going on, traders know what they're opting in for, then that leads to you controlling the narrative as well when it comes to those rogue traders that would post a message within a Discord or Facebook group or put something on an Instagram story or whatever that just sets the fireworks going off on your prop firm that is not providing the services that it should. So I think those are the two key factors that actually need to be looked into, is bringing things to the surface, not hiding them between the T's and C's on those pages that needs to be downloaded documents, or you need to go look for on the website. Have it on the front so that traders can actually see that it's transparent. And in that way, you protect yourself as well. And it gives the trader the peace of mind in knowing what they're buying into as well.
Okay, fantastic. So looking into the future of prop, right? Which particular technological advancements do you see that will transform prop trading the most? Let's say if we have this particular discussion next year, same time in May, is it AI, blockchain, what other things do you guys see that are going to bring big advancement within the industry?
Sure, I think on the trading side of the business, for sure, AI has already been implemented both on the client side. I mean, in terms of clients who are finding more and more ways to come up with strategies to
Yes.
be able to operate in these market conditions.
Mm-hmm.
I think the application on the operating side or the firm side, you're saying, AI in terms of how do you classify your clients, how do you come up with a risk management system, how do you come up with a better tagging system. So obviously AI is the name du jour. We're already applying it to our business, or particularly for the order flow.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to solve that problem. So I think that's going to be a big component going forward for us.
Okay, fantastic. Nathan?
Yeah, I think to what Siju was saying as well, AI is there now, and if you're going to be looking forward, we're only going to be seeing it getting better and actually infiltrating more of the operational side and also on the platform client-facing side as well. So you'll see platforms that's going to be innovating more, introducing, I know Trade Locker that we use as well, as where you can type in your AI prompt and whatever type of strategy that you want to pull up or information that you want to get from your chart will actually appear on the chart. So it's very easy to create a trading strategy just off of putting in certain prompts within the AI bot that is available on the Trade Locker platform, which WeFunded uses. But I think, yeah, when it comes to client verifications, KYC, all of those things, when it comes to support, everything is just going to be shifting more and more, and we're going to see a whole probably 200, 300% within the next 6 months to a year of that shift and that infiltration of AI in terms of innovation.
Okay, fantastic. Andres?
Yeah, I agree with the guys. I mean, nothing extra to add. I think just risk management is going to be something that I think most prop firms look into a lot more. And from the technological side, to be able to identify toxic strategies and traders who, like Siju said before, don't have the best intent with the prop firm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just the main thing I think we're going to focus
fantastic. So I believe we have a few more minutes, so we can take a few questions from the audience. So who can we start with? Okay. Yeah.
Good day, everyone. My name is Sianda Stole. My question to the panel, I'll be specific to Mr. Nathan. It's about if a prop firm is constantly giving 30% to 50% of discounts, is not that a red flag to us as traders? I don't know if you got my question.
Can you just repeat the last part there?
If a prop firm is constantly giving out discounts of 30 to 50%, is not that a red flag to us as traders?
Is that a red flag?
Oh, yes. Oh,
It's not.
sorry.
Yes, thank you.
Look, that would be a red flag, in my opinion, when you are looking for discounts, because it starts to become a very vicious marketing tactic that prop firms use. And like I mentioned earlier, it starts becoming a race to the bottom, right? So when a prop firm is constantly pushing a discount, that means that they actually, in my opinion, and what I've seen also with my peers in the industry, is that they start running low on cash flow. And that is why they keep promoting those discounts over and over. So it becomes a cash flow issue. So the red flag would actually be, once you see those constant discounts, is that it's a cash flow issue on the back end as well. So that would be your red flag as a trader to avoid that. So you'd see firms like ourselves as well, where we'd have fixed constant pricing. And you see, like they mentioned, also some of the top firms like FTMO, that's been around for the last plus 12 years as well. Their pricing hasn't changed, and they only have certain promotional periods that would probably be only 3 or 4 times a year. Ourselves, not at all even. So I know we've got one promotion running now, but that would just be once off as well. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay, fantastic. Yes. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Zola. I've been trading prop firms for like 3 years now. My question is this: where can we report? Because there's a lot that's going wrong from the firms. For instance, just a simple example. You subscribe, and when I go for prop firms, I always go for the rules first. I need to know what's happening. And now, the thing is, in the middle of somewhere now, they have to make partners with the broker, and now we have to redo everything. Okay, they give me whatever amount that I've made, but now the thing is, on my previous previous rules, the rules were like, you don't need to use a stop loss. You understand? And now, apparently, now that there's a new broker on board, there's a new rule, always use a stop loss. And they're not warning you about it. Because you already read the rules and regulations and you even plug it on your wall so that you don't break it.
Okay.
There's something like that. And now the thing is, they don't even warn you about when you breach one of the rules, like you trade without a stop loss. But you see, pow, now I blew my account. So where can we report such things? Because for the brokers, for instance, we got WeFX, where you can go report and you submit your stuff, like all your proof, all your receipts, so that they fight for you and you get your money back.
So the question is, in case of things like that, where do we report?
Yeah, where do we report? Because it's too much. You work 3 months on an account to 5 months, and then last minute they get.
Okay.
So from what I gather from that, so you're absolutely right. Obviously, that's one of the benefits on the brokerage space, that it's regulated, it's licensed, so you can bring your complaints to the regulator, and there's a benefit and protection that comes from regulation, which we are actually in favor of. But as it stands right now, as we mentioned earlier, social media is a very, very powerful tool, right? So things like Discord, things like community, where saying that out, and at least from my perspective, what I've seen is the props have responded or taken action. Whether that's appropriate or not, I don't know, but that's one way to bring attention.
Okay, yeah. Maybe we can get the last question because of time.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, guys. You did very good. Thanks for the insight. My question is, I just need some clarity on the how you guys as prop firm make money. You know, you guys touch on the hybrid model and things like that. In my experience, when you pass the challenge 1, phase 2, and you get funded, they give you a simulated, like a demo account on TradeLocker. They don't give you an actual live account. Still, I don't understand the model, how you guys are making money as a prop firm. I know the gentleman on the right, Antreas, said that, you know, that you're trading with their capital on a 200K account. That's 10% max drawdown. That's $20,000, for example, but it's not a live account, it's a demo account. So how do you, as a prop firm, actually make money from the model where you take a 20% cut as a prop firm and the client gets 80% there?
Yeah, so I can answer for our model at least. So the way the funded stage works is you still trade on a demo account, yes, but because once you pass the challenge into the funded account, you sign an agreement which allows us to copy your signals and use your signals. So we have one margin account with a lot of money in it, and then we decide which trades we want to send to that account. Obviously, if someone, that's why I said hybrid is an important model to use in prop, because if someone blows 20 accounts and he passes one, and I copy that trader and he's on a 200K account, I might lose 20K on that, and I might have made God knows how much on the challenge. So that's why you have to be very clever, and same on the opposite, right? I can't obviously just debook everything internally and not send nothing to the market, because then my most profitable trader is going to be my biggest expense, and that's something you don't want in a healthy business.
Okay, fantastic. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for the panelists. Yeah,